So you will have me for the next 9.5 minutes talking about digital advertising and how to get the most out of some of the digital platforms that you might be advertising on. So as Mike mentioned, my team work at A2 Partners. A2P stands for Awareness and Analytics. And the key thing that we've always felt, the ethos that drives our business, is the awareness piece, the creativity, the advertising is really only as good as the analytics, as the data insights as to where you put that creative. So the awareness and the analytics always have to work together. And that tends to be how we try and answer the single biggest problem that most of our clients face, which you'll see on this next slide. This is what we wake up to each day, trying to figure out how to help our clients understand. Advertising has evolved over the years. The challenge has not. And so we spend a lot of time and effort, and we do very much appreciate our partnership with Boodle for helping us with this. On the analytics piece, they are a critical part of our decision making. So over these next few slides, I'm going to give a couple of examples of how we've analyzed and interpreted some of our advertising to make it more effective for our clients. So the first example that you'll see here is very straightforward. It's looking at how creative can be interpreted and can be utilized in a way that helps extend your reach. Now, I'm not expecting everybody to look at all the words here. What's more important is the imagery. This is an individual that we worked with a few years ago. His name's Ranil Jalwadina. He's a British politician that we worked with. And on the left-hand side there, you'll see that this is one of his traditional video ads that he used on Facebook and Instagram. And as many of you who will have worked with elected officials will know, they like the headshot where they talk to camera and explain very clearly why their policies, their ideas are worth listening to. One of the things we noticed when we were working with Ranil was that whenever he put his wife and his kids in the shot, more people responded to his ad. And so a lot of the analytics that we will do will be quite, deeply driven by lots of data. There's also a lot you can do just by watching how people engage your content online. And so from the left to the right here, you can see that on the left-hand side, whilst the ad performed very well, the ad on the right performed significantly better. And one of the things that we were able to interpret from that is that Facebook's algorithm in about the last year and a half has shifted quite considerably to over-promote localized content and content that includes more than one person in the image, whether that be a photo or a video. So one of the very clear things we learned a few years ago is that these small changes of just adding in more components to a video or to a photo image can have a big impact on where your ad is placed in the newsfeed and how often it's seen by your audience. So that's one of a very kind of simple tip that most organizations can pick up with. If you move on to the next slide, you'll see that one of the other things that we spend a lot of time thinking through is how is our audience interpreting our creative. Now, this is a case study of a campaign we worked on where we were promoting a movie for a production company. And actually that company had already worked with Facebook directly to serve almost 11 million ads. And one of the things that you learn very quickly with social media advertising is you can reach lots of people very cost effectively on social media platforms. I mean, it is a very compliant way of reaching a lot of people. The challenge is not how many people you can reach, but how many people interact and engage with your content. And one of the things that we recommended to this client is that whilst they were reaching moviegoers, not all moviegoers are the same. Some people like action movies, some people like romantic comedies, some people like horror movies. And more importantly than the definition of the type of movie, your audience will often tell you what they are interested in by their interactions on Facebook, Instagram, other digital platforms. So when we were pulled into this particular project, they were already a little behind the eight ball in terms of getting people to Fandango to go and buy movie tickets. They'd served 11 million ads. They only had 2,681 transactions. We looked at the page. They had over 100,000 people that already liked their page. We said, well, you already have an audience here of people that have said they like this movie with Benedict Cumberbatch and these people in it. Why not try and advertise to more people like this? And so we were able to serve a tenth of the number of ads to a very specific audience and built a lookalike around those type of people and drove 41,538 tracked interactions to Fandango. So one of the things that digital advertising is very effective at, it gives you data at every step in the process to let you know what's working and what's not within your audience. So whenever we're building out ad campaigns, we're always trying to find the audience that's likely to interact and engage with the content in an above average way. The average click-through rate, by the way, on Facebook is 1%. So if any of your ad campaigns are generating a click-through rate of above 1%, you're outperforming the audience. If we do our job effectively, we're looking to try and get 4 to 8% click-through rate. Again, if we've got the right creative and the right audience targeted using some data analytics along the way. And it can have very meaningful real world impacts as well. So the other piece of this you saw from like the previous slide, driving real world action is what we're trying to achieve for most of our clients, right? Whether it's a political client, people don't vote on Facebook. If it's a movie client like The Imitation Game, they don't watch the movie on Facebook. They get interested in the movie, they pay attention to the content, and then they go and take another action in the real world. That's the exact same example as the Vote Spotter app that we worked with over the last few years. This is an app where if you take the creative that works effectively and then you understand how your audience is interacting with that creativity, you can scale to quite a significant level. So Vote Spotter is a fantastic app for political engagement, policy engagement. It encourages people to understand how their legislators are voting in their legislatures and interact with them on that. Now, we got asked to start working with this particular product when they had 5,000 users in Michigan. And we ran a number of test ads. We worked out, as you can see here, which images were working most effectively, which messages, which words drove the most engagement. And we were able to increase that 5,000 users in Michigan to 50,000 users across 5 states in about 6 months. And a lot of what we were doing was testing, building, learning, going back, testing, and returning the system over and over and over again, to the point when in year 2, we grew the 50,000 users across 5 states to 150,000 users. And in year 3, grew that 150,000 to 1.15 million. There was nothing exceptionally different about what we were doing. We were just paying attention to how people were interacting within the social media platforms. And then as people were downloading the app, we were analyzing the data, looking at what type of people were downloading the app, what time of day they were downloading the app, how they were using the app, and we were making our marketing decisions based on that data insight. We can tell you that the average person that downloads the Vote Spotter app is a man somewhere between 35 and 45, and they normally download the app around 10 a.m. in the morning. And we realized that one of the things they were doing is that they were often professionals, they were researchers, they were journalists, they had an interest in policy. And the 10 a.m. piece was important because that's when they had their cup of coffee and they were downloading the app, often whilst they're on the toilet. That sometimes you get a little too much information from your analytics, but this helped us understand when we wanted to serve our ad and who we wanted to see it and to get the desired outcome, which was to download the app. My final slide today is just to give you a sense of just what can be done when you put your mind to it. We talked about some of the bigger projects we've worked with, the Imitation Game movie, the Vote Spotter app. These were significant projects that ran across the US. The last project I want to talk about today is Birchfront Hills Farm. It's important to me because it's actually a small business that's linked to my family. It's my wife's family's dairy farm. And as we ran into the pandemic, we were talking to the family and they realized that 90% of the cheese they sold to restaurants in the Philadelphia area. And that business went away overnight. When all the shops and the restaurants shut down, they didn't have any infrastructure. They had a Facebook page, they had an Insta page, and they had great, compelling, organic content. And so we said, let us do what we do for a lot of our clients for you. And so we tested some ads out, and we have a great team who work on what we now have a program called A2P Local, which helps small businesses, small charities get an understanding of how to use digital advertising effectively. And we were benefited by the fact that this is, it's great quality cheese and people wanted to help out local farmers. at the simplest level, we took their existing content and we geofenced farmers markets so that when people were turning up to the farmers markets, they knew that the farm was going to be there. But then we also helped them build out a landing page which allowed them to deliver cheese to people's doorsteps. They went, as I said here, they went from 10 clicks on their social media accounts before the pandemic to over 10,000 clicks in the last couple of months. And we've actually helped them replace a lot of the revenue they lost from the restaurants. And we've done this a number of times now with smaller organizations that just have traditionally not had the resources to have digital marketing campaigns. So again, kind of practical steps on how you can get the most from your digital advertising. Pay close attention to the creative, test a number of different types of creative, and just watch to see which gets the most clicks, the most activity. Spend time thinking through your audience. Facebook has one of the best audience targeting tools in the business, but you also probably have a better insight in your audience than Facebook does. So test which types of people are interacting with your creative on a particular day. And then when you find something that works, that's when you scale it up. And that's when you can really drive some significant successes. So hopefully those kind of 3 steps have given you an insight in terms of how you can get more from your digital ads.